So I've had a number of questions now about level one or retaking. If you're retaking level one, what sort of strategy you should follow, and it really depends on what band you finished in. So let's see if I can, give you some clarity here. Uh, the CFA is either pass or not pass, pass fail. And if you don't make it, you're given a band, and the band represents what decile you finished in versus all those who didn't make it. So it's not all those who wrote the test. The ones who pass aren't included in this. So this just gives you what band you were in if you didn't make it. If you're band 10, that means you're in the top 10% of all the ones who didn't make it. If you're band 9, means you're in the top 20% of all the ones who didn't make it, and you can go 8, 7, 6, same way. If you're band 1, 2, 3, let's say you're band 3, you're in the bottom 30% of all those who didn't make it. So if you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if you're in that range, your strategy really isn't the same as if you were just starting. At this point, your strategy should be nothing but review videos and problems. Treat every month from here to December, and you're okay for a December right here because you're close. It's not like there's a lot of work to do. You're close. Treat every month like it's the last month before the exam. So you've got August, September, October, November. Treat August as if the first weekend in September was the exam. Treat September as if the first week in October was the exam. So it's review, review, review. Now on the review videos, I've got the 5 big sections done. In October, I'm going to add corporate finance. I've said this before. I'm going to add economics. And if I have time, I'll add derivatives and alternative investments. I'm not going to add ethics because ethics is hard to do a review video for, only because it's so detailed. You pretty much have to go through the whole ethics section. So if you spend August and September reviewing FRA, big section, review quant, review fixed income, portfolio management and equity, that's not a bad 2 months to spend. By the time you get to October, you'll start to see corporate finance, economics, and again, if I have time, you'll see derivatives and alternative investments show up at that time. And that's where you really should be spending your time. In the review videos, I do a really good review of the reading without getting into too much detail. Again, if you're up here, you don't have to start from scratch. You've done most of the work. You just need better review and practice. Again and again and again. Even if you're doing the same problems over and over again, repetition breeds mastery. Try to find as many problems from as many different sources as you can. You have the end of chapter questions that are available for you. There's lots of different question banks out there. In about 2 weeks, we're going to have on our site for level 1 for free about 2,000 questions added in for end of reading reviews. Now that may sound like a lot. That's only about 30 questions for each reading, but we'll have those there. Around mid-September, there are mock exams that come out, and we don't really write the mock exams. We just make a deal with another provider. This year, we're going to really heavily review the exams to make sure there are no errors in them, because that can be a bit of a drag. And typically, there are 6 full mock exams. When I say full, that means at 240 questions each, or 1,440 exam-style questions. The review questions, the end of chapter questions, things like that, while they look like exam questions, they're not exam-style questions because they don't respect the 90-second time limit. The questions may ask you to do some work that might take you 3, 4, 5 minutes to solve that particular question, just so you get an understanding. You'd never get that on an exam. You'd never be given a list of 6 or 7 numbers and say, calculate the standard deviation. That can't be done in 90 seconds. Just even if you know exactly what you're doing and you get right to work, just the number of times you got to hit that calculator can't happen. So the mock exams are important because they give you questions in a structure like you would find on the exam. And so you have 1,440 questions. That's 12 half exams. And I'll put a video out when those come out about a good strategy on how to do these, how to proceed on these exams. So listen, the good news is, okay, well, you didn't make it, but the good news is you don't got to start over. You don't got to start over. I mean, you made it to this point, so you don't have to start over. Here's the more difficult situation if you're down here. band 1 through 5. This means you're in the bottom 50%. Anywhere from 1 to 5, you're in the bottom 50% of the ones who didn't make it. So let's say 100,000 wrote. This year, 43% passed, so 43,000 made it, 57,000 didn't, and down here is 28,500 students from around the world in this bottom section. Only you know why you didn't make it. It could be that you decided in April, hey, you know what, CFA, yeah, I can do that. And you gave yourself 6 weeks, and you ended in the bottom 50%. At that point, yeah, it was a question of time. That's not a big deal. Try again. But I don't know so much that you want to, at this point, target a December, right? You might want to go for June 2018. Because there's no point in doing December and not making it and then having to pay the fee again. You want to balance, your ability to make it with the cost that it's going to take. So at this point, if you're 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, I would probably say I'd be targeting a June 2018. And your strategy is basically a restart. Is you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to pretend I never did anything, and I'm going to start right from scratch, because you're way down here. It's not as if you are up here somewhere and just a little bit more work with the problems, a little and more review, and you would have made it. You're way down here. You have to get the foundation first. You have to try to get yourself into this section where now you're ready for the review. And let's take it one step further at this point. Let's say that you did give it your all, that you took a lot of time and you still finished with a band of 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. Well, then your study strategy was wrong. You've got to refocus on the right things, as opposed to however it was that you were doing. Maybe you just read the book and didn't really focus on many of the problems. Maybe you felt that you read the book. I know there are times where I'll read a couple of pages of a chapter and my eyes are passing over all the words, but if I stop and say, okay, what did I just read? I don't know. So just being able to turn the page doesn't mean you've read that page. You have to read for understanding. That's a slower read. So maybe your study strategy was wrong, and you just need a new study strategy. And then we have one more group. You have tried. You failed 2, 3, maybe 4 times, and you're thinking of retaking, and you're still in these bottom bands. You may want to reevaluate why you feel you need the CFA. You might want to reevaluate what your purpose is. Is this a necessity, or is this just something you feel that's nice to have? Because level 2 is known to be the most challenging of the 3 levels. So if you're having difficulty at level 1, level 2 is not going to be kind on you at all. So you may want to, at that point, reevaluate. And this is sometimes the hardest a conversation a professor has to have with a student is to pull them aside sometimes and say, look, have you explored other options, because you're not progressing with the rest of the class. So either this is not for you, or you can point to a specific reason why. I started too late. I got the wrong study strategy. I study half-heartedly. All I do is I read and I don't do any problems. If you can point to those things and say, yeah, but I'm doing this all wrong, then do it again. Absolutely. But if you're saying, no, I'm reading, I'm watching videos, I'm doing problems, I'm doing mock exams, I just can't seem to get it. Hey, listen, I had the hardest time with physics. For some reason, I can't wrap my head around it. But I can do all sorts of numbers courses, and I figure physics is a numbers course. That's easy for me. I can't get my head around some of the concepts sometimes. That's okay. We all have blocks in our mind that don't allow us to get past a certain point. You may want to reevaluate. A CFA is not a necessity. Depending on what you want to do, it's a necessity. Depending on what field or what exactly where in the finance field you want to be, yeah, it may be a necessity. Other times it's a nice to have, not a need to have. So I hope that helps.